Bri, everyone, and welcome back to Academic Talk, the podcast where we explore deep questions in a simple and friendly way. I'm your host, Brian, and today we're talking about a topic that many people don't realize is affecting them every day: perfectionism. The big question is perfectionism destroying your life? To help us talk about this, we have a thoughtful guest with us today, Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this. It's something I've struggled with too.
Thanks for being open about that, Jenny. Let's start with the basics. Can you explain in simple words, what is perfectionism?
Sure. Perfectionism is when someone feels like they have to be perfect all the time. They want everything to be exactly right. No mistakes, no errors, no failure. And if things aren't perfect, they feel bad, stressed, or even like they failed completely.
Wow, that sounds exhausting.
It really is. Perfectionism sounds like a good thing at first. People think it means working hard or doing your best. But it can be dangerous when it becomes too much.
Can you tell us how it becomes dangerous?
Yes. When you always try to be perfect, you can start to fear making mistakes. So you avoid doing new things. You wait too long to start a project because you're scared it won't be perfect. Or you spend too much time on small details and miss deadlines.
That happens to me sometimes when I write scripts or work on creative projects. I want them to be perfect, but then I feel stuck.
Exactly. That's the trap. You want everything to be amazing, so you stop yourself from doing anything, and then you feel guilty or angry with yourself. It becomes a cycle.
So what's the difference between being a hard worker and being a perfectionist?
Great question. A hard worker does their best, but knows it's okay to make mistakes. They learn and keep going. A perfectionist wants everything to be 100% right, every time. And if it's not, they feel like they failed, even when they did a great job.
That sounds like a lot of pressure to live with.
It is. Perfectionists often feel tired, anxious, or not good enough, no matter how much they do. They also compare themselves to others a lot.
Do you think social media makes it worse?
Oh, for sure. On social media, people only show their best moments. Perfect photos, perfect jobs, perfect lives. If you're a perfectionist, you start to think everyone else is doing better than you. And that makes you push yourself harder, even when it hurts.
So Jenny, if someone listening right now feels like they might be a perfectionist, how can they know for sure?
Here are a few signs to watch for. 1, you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough. 2, you are afraid of failing, even in small things. 3, you avoid trying new things because you don't want to mess up. 4, you take too long to finish tasks because you keep fixing tiny details. 5, you feel very stressed or tired after trying to do things perfectly.
That's a helpful list. I think many listeners might feel some of those things. I know I do, sometimes.
Me too. And it's okay. Many people deal with this. The first step is to be kind to yourself and realize you're not alone.
Okay, Jenny, now that we understand what perfectionism is and how it affects people, let's talk about solutions. How can someone deal with perfectionism in everyday life?
Good question. First, we need to understand that perfection is not real. It's an idea, but in real life, nothing is ever truly perfect. That's normal and okay.
So step 1 is changing how we think?
Exactly. You have to remind yourself, done is better than perfect. It's better to finish something than to waste hours trying to make it perfect. Also, learning to say this is good enough can really help.
That sounds simple, but I think it's hard to do.
Yes, it takes practice. You can start small. For example, if you're writing a school report, set a time limit. Tell yourself, I'll work on this for 2 hours and then stop. Don't let yourself keep changing small things forever.
Oh, wow, I do that when editing podcast episodes. I always feel like maybe I can make this sound better, and I keep editing again and again.
I've been there too. But after a while, we need to trust that what we made is good enough. If we keep trying to fix everything, we never move forward.
What about people who feel scared to show their work, like students who don't want to speak up in class or share ideas?
That fear comes from perfectionism too. They're afraid to make mistakes or sound not smart enough. But the truth is, making mistakes is how we learn. Nobody grows by being perfect. We grow by trying, failing, and trying again.
So true. Do you have a personal story, Jenny? A time when perfectionism made your life hard?
Yes, actually. When I first started doing public speaking, I used to write my script again and again, like 15 times. I wanted every word to be perfect. But I became so tired and nervous that I almost didn't go on stage.
Whoa. What happened next?
A friend told me, Jenny, people don't want a perfect robot, they want a real person. That helped me a lot. I went on stage with a few mistakes, but I spoke from the heart, and people loved it.
That's a beautiful story, and it really shows that people connect with honesty.
Not perfection. Yes, when you show your real self, people feel safe. They know they don't have to be perfect either. That's powerful.
Okay, let's say someone is working on a big goal, like starting a blog or applying for a job, but they're stuck because of perfectionism. What should they do?
They should start before they feel ready. Just take the first step. Don't wait for the perfect time because it may never come. Start small. Write one blog post. Send that one email. Record one video. And be proud of it, even if it's not perfect.
I love that advice. Start before you feel ready. That could help so many people.
Yes, and remember, every expert was once a beginner. No one starts out perfect.
All right, Jenny. So far, we've talked about how perfectionism affects our own mind and behavior. But I'm curious, can perfectionism affect our relationships too?
Yes, absolutely. Perfectionism can create problems in relationships with friends, family, and even romantic partners.
How so?
Well, if you're a perfectionist, you might expect other people to be perfect too. You might get upset when someone makes a small mistake or doesn't do things your way. That can make people feel nervous or even afraid to be around you.
Wow, I didn't think about that. So perfectionism isn't just about ourselves, it can make others feel pressure too?
Exactly. Also, some perfectionists hide their feelings or try to be perfect in the relationship. They don't want to show weakness, so they pretend everything's fine, even when it's not. That makes it hard to build trust.
So relationships become kind of fake or distant?
Yes. Real connection happens when people are open, honest, and okay with being imperfect together.
That's powerful. And how about in the workplace? Can perfectionism cause problems at work or school?
Definitely. In the workplace, a perfectionist might have trouble finishing tasks on time because they keep fixing small things. They might avoid asking for help because they don't want to look weak. And they may burn out because they're working way too hard.
I've heard people say, I'm just a perfectionist, like it's a good thing. But now it sounds like a warning sign.
That's right. Some people use it like a badge of honor. But if it's causing stress, fear, or problems, it's not healthy anymore.
So how can we support someone, like a friend or coworker, who is struggling with perfectionism?
Good question. First, be kind and non-judgmental. Don't say things like, just stop being a perfectionist. That doesn't help. Instead, say things like, it's okay to make mistakes, or you don't have to be perfect to be valuable.
That's great advice. What if they're being too hard on themselves?
Then gently remind them of their progress. Say something like, I see how much effort you put in. That's what really matters. Also, celebrate small wins with them. Even finishing something simple is a step forward.
So being a good listener and giving emotional support can help a lot.
Yes. And sometimes it helps to share your own struggles too. When they see you're not perfect either, they'll feel less alone.
I love that. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be real. Jenny, this has been so helpful so far, but I have another question. Where does perfectionism come from? Do we learn it when we're young?
Yes, Brian, many people start becoming perfectionists in childhood. It often comes from how we were raised or what we were told when we were little.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say a child gets praised only when they get full marks in school. If they get 98 out of 100, maybe the parent says, "Why didn't you get 100?" Even if the parent doesn't mean to hurt them, the child learns that being perfect is the only way to be loved or accepted.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not always about pressure from school or society. It can come from the home too.
Exactly. And it's not always on purpose. Parents, teachers, or even friends can say things that make us feel like we're not good enough unless we're the best.
Wow. And I guess things like social media make it worse, right?
Yes, social media can really increase the pressure. People see others posting perfect pictures, perfect lives, and perfect results. But it's not real. It's just the good parts. Behind the screen, everyone has struggles.
So, How can we build healthier expectations for ourselves, especially if we grew up with perfectionist thinking?
One way is to practice self compassion. That means being kind to yourself, like you would be to a friend. If you make a mistake, don't say, I'm stupid. Say, it's okay. I tried my best, and I can learn from this.
That's a big shift for many people.
Yes, but it's so important. Also, focus on progress, not perfection. Instead of trying to be the best, try to be better than you were yesterday.
That's a helpful mindset. Can this also help kids?
Absolutely. If you're a parent, teacher, or older sibling, you can help children feel proud of their effort, not just their results. Say things like, I'm proud of how hard you tried, or I saw how you didn't give up even when it was hard.
That way, kids learn that it's okay to fail or struggle. It's part of growing.
Yes, and when they feel safe to make mistakes, they become more confident and creative.
This is so important, not just for kids, but for all of us. We need to remember, life is not a test we must pass perfectly.
Exactly. Life is a journey, and the goal is not to be perfect, but to grow, to learn, and to enjoy it along the way.
All right, Jenny, we've covered a lot today. Can we go over some of the key points for our listeners?
Of course, Brian. Let's do a quick recap. 1. Perfectionism sounds good, but it can create stress, fear, and even stop people from trying new things. 2. It often starts in childhood, from family, school, or media pressure. 3. It can damage relationships because perfectionists expect too much from others or hide their own feelings. 4. It affects work and school life, causing burnout, fear of failure, and procrastination. 5. But the good news is, we can change this mindset through self-compassion, realistic goals, and support from others.
Thank you for that summary. Now let's answer some questions we got from our audience. Here's a question from Anna in Malaysia. She asks, I want to stop being a perfectionist, but I'm scared I'll become lazy if I stop pushing myself so hard. What should I do?
That's a great question, Anna. Many people think if they stop being perfect, they'll become lazy, but that's not true. There's a big difference between healthy motivation and fear-based pressure. You can still be hardworking and grow without being mean to yourself. Start small. Give yourself permission to rest and remind yourself that effort is more important than perfection.
That's a very kind way to put it. Thanks, Jenny. These answers are gold. Before we move on, do you have a message for anyone listening who feels stuck in perfectionism?
Yes, I do. If you're listening and perfectionism is making you tired, anxious, or unhappy, you're not alone. You are already enough. You don't have to earn your worth by being flawless. Mistakes don't make you weak. They make you human. Be kind to yourself. Talk to someone. And remember, progress is better than perfection.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jenny. Jenny, earlier you mentioned that many people deal with perfectionism. Can you share some real stories, maybe from people you've worked with or read about?
Absolutely. I'll change their names, of course, but these are based on real people. Story 1, Emma, the art student. Emma was a talented art student. She loved drawing, but she never finished her projects. She would start a painting, then stop halfway and throw it away because it didn't look perfect. She told me, if it's not perfect, it's not worth showing. We worked on this by giving her a challenge. Finish a drawing in 30 minutes and don't erase anything. At first, she hated it, but slowly she started to enjoy the process. She even began showing her work to friends. Now she says, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be mine.
That's inspiring. I think a lot of creative people feel like Emma. They wait for something perfect before they share.
Yes, and that waiting stops them from growing or enjoying their gift. Story 2, Mark, the young engineer. Then there's Mark. He was working as a junior engineer and would stay at the office late every night. He double-checked every email, recalculated his reports 5 times, and couldn't relax. One day, his manager said, Mark, I trust your work. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to finish it. That changed something in him. He started to accept good enough as okay. Now he finishes his work earlier, feels more confident, and even helps train others.
That's amazing. Sometimes just hearing someone say, I trust you, can change everything.
Exactly. It shows how perfectionism often comes from fear of being judged or not being good enough. Story 3, Lena, the high school student. Lena was in high school and got really anxious before tests. She would study for hours, skip sleep, and even cry if she didn't get the highest score. We talked about setting personal goals, not just aiming for top grades. She agreed to try celebrating effort instead of results. After a few months, she told me, I'm still trying hard, but now I don't hate myself when I make a mistake.
That's a huge change. It shows that progress really is possible. Jenny, what can we learn from these stories?
Each of them shows that perfectionism is not who we are, it's just a habit we learned. And habits can change. With support, awareness, and small steps, anyone can move from I must be perfect to I am enough.
That's a message we all need to hear sometimes. All right, Jenny, before we end today's episode, can you share a few simple tips our listeners can try if they're struggling with perfectionism?
Of course, here are some small but powerful tips. 1. Set realistic goals. Instead of saying, I must get 100%, try, I will do my best and learn from it. 2. Take breaks. If you're working on something for too long, stop, breathe, and come back later. Rest helps your mind work better. 3. Celebrate progress, not perfection. When you finish something, no matter how small, say well done to yourself. 4. Use kind words. Notice how you talk to yourself. Replace I'm not good enough with I'm learning, and that's okay. 5. Try something messy. Do one thing every week that you don't need to be good at, like dancing badly, drawing, or singing. Just enjoy the moment.
Those are wonderful tips, Jenny. And honestly, they sound doable. It's not about changing overnight, but changing little by little.
Exactly, Brian. Perfectionism doesn't go away in one day, but if you take small steps, you'll feel lighter, happier, and more free.
Jenny, thank you for being with us today. You've shared so many great insights.
Thank you, Brian. It was joy to be here, and to everyone listening, just remember, you are enough. Your life is not a test, it's a journey. Let yourself grow, fall, learn, and shine without needing to be perfect.
Beautifully said. And thank you, listeners, for tuning into Academic Talk. If you enjoyed today's topic, don't forget to follow our show and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. We'll see you again next time with more real conversations that matter.
Bye for now. Keep being kind to yourself.
Take care, everyone. And remember, progress, not perfection.